Drones, dollars, and disruption. How Steffanie Rivers is opening the skies for Black dronepreneurs. Welcome to Catch the Vision, the podcast where we speak to visionaries who stopped waiting for permission and started creating impact. Now, you know, when a guest come here for a second time, they gotta be doing something right. I don't bring guests back on two in a row. I don't do that. You gotta be doing something exceptional. So today's guest, I'll just present to some and introduce to others. She's someone who's not just flying drones, she's flying in the face of barriers, excuses, and limitations. And who is this person? None other than Steffanie Rivers, the founder of TCBDrones, a trailblazing organization committed to diversifying the drone industry by training and certifying more Blacks, minority, and women entrepreneurs. Now, we're talking about her viral momentum, the upcoming Sky Hustle networking mix on Thursday, September the 4th, and the free Drones and Dollars workshop on Saturday, September the 6th, both happening right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So, if you ever felt like certain careers or opportunities were out of reach, and sometimes they are, this conversation would change your perspective, and hey, who knows, it might even change your life. So Steffanie, for the second time.
Thanks for having
Welcome
me,
to the
Kevin. I
studio.
appreciate you. This is an honor
Why is it an honor?
to be the first person to be a guest on your podcast the second time.
I know, right? You think there'll be a third or fourth?
Probably.
I like
There's
that.
there's new things happening, and goals are being met, challenges being met. So I'm sure there'll be a lot for us to talk about as we continue.
So let me ask you this. What surprised you the most when your story went viral?
I was surprised the most that the number of people who reached out and said, wow, I want to be a drone pilot. I want to get my certification, and I want you to help me. This is the number of people out there in different industries or who were just looking for a change, who saw that if I could do it, that they could do it. And that's what has always motivated me when I see other people doing something. And I think to myself, now, if they can do it, then I can do it. And so I'm glad that they reached out.
Did you ever felt like Black Enterprise would pick up your story, or you just, for you it's just you telling the story, and then of course it went out there and it made headlines and it went viral, and then of course ultimately Black Enterprise picked up. What was going through your mind when you saw Black Enterprise sharing your story?
Well, Black Enterprise is one of those historical magazines, publications that we grew up with, that I grew up with. And so to be one of the groundbreaking stories that they wanted to cover, it was an honor, and it was a surprise, just simply because as you're living life and going through things, you really I don't consider what I'm doing to be that exceptional. This is just who I am, trying to make things happen for myself as well as other people. And so it was just an honor for them to see, and it was confirmation that I'm on the right track. It's always good when other people can see that you're doing great things and they're willing to give you praise for that.
So you participated in, I guess it was it a pitch competition? Famous Amos.
Yes, well, Famous Amos success. What is it? It's called Famous Amos Ingredients for Success.
Okay.
So it's not a pitch competition, but you submit a presentation on what you're doing and why it matters. And I think in 2023, when I was one of the three companies owned by Black people and named emerging company, each of those three companies gets a grant for $50,000.
Okay, so you and two others won a grant for $50K.
Yes. So when I saw that, and again, if someone looks at what you're doing and your business plan is solid and your goals and what you plan to do is solid to someone else who is in business, and they come back and say, we recognize that you're on the right track, that's confirmation. And it was confirmation for me that I was doing great things and I needed to keep pushing through. And of course, everybody could use more capital to continue on with their business financial journey. So that was very telling to me. And we got a trip to Washington, D.C.
Oh, really?
Yes, and we met with the previous owners of the grant. So it was kind of like a culmination of everyone coming back home there to support each other. And it was a weekend full of business training, meeting other business owners. And so I walked away re-energized with what I was doing. And so that was one of the first steps to letting me know I was on the right track. So when other business people can see that you're on that right track, it just is telling to let me know that there are other people out there who want what I'm doing and recognize what I'm doing.
So have you exhausted all of that $50K, or you still got some?
You know what? I have not exhausted, now that I'm looking at my bank account right now as we're saying that. And it was in 2023. So, you know, there's always an expense or a marketing plan or a business trip that needs to be taken. But fortunately, in addition to getting the $50,000, I also have had contracts to come in. And so I've added to that with the money from contracts and just doing business. So I still have a little bit, but you know, I'm.
No, we said a little bit. Like what's how much is that?
Why, Kevin? Do you need a loan or something?
You know, people may need to get a loan or something. I don't. Hey.
Well,
Okay.
no. Unless you're my.
You part of the team.
And you're a great part of the team.
No, you said unless somebody's part. I thought you were gonna say unless somebody was part of your team.
Well, no, I was gonna say unless you're my what are they? The people who count your money?
CPA?
CPA.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Then, you know,
all right.
It's need to know information.
Okay. We're gonna move away from the $50K, okay? I see you're uncomfortable with this. I'm just playing. All right, let's talk about this upcoming networking event, Sky Hustle, that's happening on Thursday, September 4th from 6 p.m. to 8:30. Now, did you realize that you the first to even do a networking event for Black, brown, minority people for the drone industry? Did you realize that?
Well, and of course, not until you told me, because you do a lot of research behind the events that we plan. But I've attended a lot of networking events, and most recently, when I go to those events and I tell the people that I meet that I'm a drone pilot, they're excited and they say, "Oh, you're one of the first, if not the only, Black woman drone pilots that I've met or that I know." And so, and they also say, "I would be interested in getting in doing that."
Okay.
And so when you and I started talking about going beyond the
Academy.
the Drone Pilot Academy, and getting professionals together to build a support system for people who are interested. Then you did the research and realized, that's when we realized, wow, there's nobody that has done this to get together dronepreneurs in this area. And so it's a good time to do it. And who knows, we know where we want it to go. But we've got a great interest in it. And so if you want to know more, I know you've given the dates, but on the website, TCBDrones.com, they can go to the upcoming events tab, and it has all that information about the Sky Hustle Mixer, the Drones and Dollars workshop, and other events that I'm scheduled to be a part of.
So what excites you the most about the Sky Hustle networking? Is it, you're going to get to see people that look like you, or is it just, seeing everybody come together that's probably been, spaced out? What's the most exciting thing for you for this networking event?
The most exciting thing is to know that there are people out there who want to be a part of it, really, and to build the camaraderie, build the ecosystem, to get people together. So, because we always talk about, building our own lane, doing, supporting, if you have a drone business and then you need, or if I have a drone business and you need drone services, or we just need to be in the same room together so we can see how we can build the network. And so that's what excites me the most, is to realize there are people who are interested in being a part of this mixer and building a network to see how we can move beyond just knowing about each other, but how we can build with each other and do business together and build streams of income together.
Okay, so now in that same week, on Saturday, September the 6th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is Drones and Dollars. Did you know you were the first to do a free workshop for Blacks, minorities, on how to get into the drone industry? Were you aware of that?
I was not aware, and it's you have your wealth of knowledge, and you've done a lot of research on these types of events. And what a lot of people want to know, is there a charge for it? And no, there's not a charge for it, because this is what I like to say. It's akin to a webinar, except it's in person. So at that Drones and Dollars workshop, we're going to find out about the drone industry, why it's booming, why it's a global phenomenon, and why it's important for us to be a part of it, because it's like things are happening around us. Technology is growing around us, and we're not a part of it. Most of us are not a part of it as far as building a business and streams of income coming towards us. We are grasping onto technology and putting money out. We got the latest apps. We've got the latest phone, all the gadgets, all the technology. We want it, and we're paying for it. But when it comes to building a business in that industry, we're slow to do that.
Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I mean, history has shown that Black and brown people are the last to know about those types of things for, various reasons. We might be just so busy living life in the moment. Whatever the job is that we have, we're working that job. We're doing, raising our families, all those things that keep us from really looking a forecasting what's coming down the pike and getting involved before it's too late or before the best opportunity to get involved has passed. So, and I would say somebody who looks like us didn't invite us to the table, maybe.
Do you also think, Steffanie, and this is just my opinion, and I know opinions are like elbows and buttholes. We all got one. Do you think it's also a level of fear? And before you answer that, the reason I'm asking that question is because I do things that I know we can do it, but I don't think if we haven't been exposed to something, I think there's a level of fear there. Okay, and so what do I mean by that? I mean, we've traveled to places, during the holidays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get over there, and it's typically just me and my family as that culture, right? Whereas there's all these other cultures there, right? And they have their kids there, right? And so it's like they're giving them the tools that they're needing in order not to be fearful in life. It's the same thing. In Little Rock, Arkansas, there's this mountain called Pinnacle Mountain. And so typically about 80 to 90% of the people on that mountain are of other cultures. And it's always like 1 to 3% of us. And what's interesting is that those cultures, like, they'll hike up the mountain with a kid on their backpack and stuff. I'm like, man. And so, like, that was an inspiration for me. I'm like, okay, I need to bring my daughter out here, right? And it's probably explains why she's such a risk taker. Mm-hmm. Now, she takes calculated risk. I just take risk, period, right? It could be calculated, uncalculated. I don't care. I'm just, and that may not be good. I'm sure it's not. But do you think there's a high percentage of fear that keeps us from taking an opportunity,
a risk, an opportunity? I would agree with that, because we listen to a lot of feedback, whether it's fear of the unknown or fear inside, mm-hmm. or a society telling us you can only do certain things, mm-hmm. or this is not for you. And so we get used to just not trying certain things or working in a certain field. And so a drone pilot, or, a pilot period, aviation period, those things might entail learning about something that you didn't grow up with. Mm-hmm. And so instead of us challenging ourselves, we prefer to be comfortable and just do what we've been doing. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we get what we've been getting, and we don't like that, but we don't have enough discomfort to try something new.
So are you saying success is on the other side of our comfort zone?
Exactly.
Okay.
Success is on the other side of our comfort zone. And with me being an only child, I grew up as an only child. And so I'm just used to doing things by myself. I never had like a siblings. I have cousins, but no siblings, no entourage of people that I needed to confirm or say, okay, let's do this. I like to say, if I waited for someone to approve everything I did, I'd still be an embryo. Because some people, they need that confirmation. After mm-hmm. they need somebody to pat them on the back or tell them you can do it. And that's always good to have, but sometimes you have to be able to
pat yourself.
You have to push mm-hmm. through mm-hmm. even when nobody's cheering for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of those people. And so a lot of people are not that way.
Okay. That's a fair assessment. So let's talk about this income in this industry. So can you give like a real life scenario where, having your drone certification really creates income?
Well, the FAA says that you can't make money with your drone, working as a drone pilot, if you're not certified. So, having said that, you have to be certified. And then because you have that certification, now you can charge people. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, we saw an advertisement where, and someone even said this on the webinar that I had a few weeks ago as well. They saw it advertised, a drone pilot starting out was around $100,000 a year, $100,000 a year. And so where else are you going to be able to go without a degree and get that type of money to start out? So, and that's on the high end probably. So if you can start out making $35 an hour, $40 an hour, that's still more than what most people make an hour without a degree.
Okay.
So the opportunities are there, but of course you have to be skilled and have some type of certification. And that's where we come in. We do drone pilot prep courses and help people to understand what you need to know to pass the Part 107 drone pilot test.
What's the most you ever made doing a drone opportunity in one day?
In one day, I've charged $200 an hour, and it took eight hours.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the going rate is about $175 to
$200 an hour.
$200 an hour.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, is that based on skill, or is that just, I just got my pilot license and so I'm charging $175 an hour? So what is that based on?
That's based on the job. I mean, if you're going to do, if you're promoting yourself as a wedding drone pilot and you want to partner up with a wedding coordinator, let's say, you probably are not going to be able to charge $200 an hour. You might be able to charge $100 an hour. So
are you saying it's based on the industry?
It's right.
Okay.
If you're doing inspections on phone lines or utility lines, something like that, because that's more skilled and more dangerous it could be, because you're dealing with power lines and how close are you going to get and what you're have to deal with, then you would charge more. You can charge more. So
why should photographers and videographers get into this industry?
Well, because that's that's another stream of income that they can add to their.
But why would it make sense for them to do it? I mean, because I get it's another stream of income, but like, why would it really make sense for them to do it?
Because when they go to their clientele, or if someone's coming to a photographer to do their wedding or their outdoor event, that person probably is going to want the drone video to go with the pictures on the ground. And so then that means that photographer is going to have to go hire a drone pilot, or you can just get your certification and let someone else do the photography and you do the drone pilot work. So you can save yourself some money and make money at the same time. So
let me ask you this. Wouldn't it make more sense? So let me ask you this. So flying a drone is one thing, but capturing the optics of what somebody wants, and if you already a photographer, is that not a better eye? If you're a videographer, is that not a better eye? Because you already know how to use the lenses from whether if it's a camera or, well, most of these cameras are DSLR anyway. So wouldn't it make more sense from that angle? Not necessarily, it's another stream of income, but if they already have the eye for it, because you can be a drone pilot and not have the eye to capture stuff. Am I right?
Correct. And it's been said that a drone is just a camera in the sky, which it really is.
Right.
So, right, if you are trained already on what to capture and how to capture and how to compose
Right.
the picture, then it makes sense for you would be a better drone pilot.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason I asked that question is because my videographer is also a drone pilot, right? And so we traveled down to Little Rock to shoot a commercial. And when I tell you it's obvious he has an eye for it because he's a videographer, it's just now he has a camera, in, like you said, in the air, but he knew what to capture. And it was just like, wow, I get it now. And so I'm just saying to those of you who have a background in photography, or if you have a background in videography, this is why it makes sense. The revenue is going to come, but because you have the eye already, is why it makes sense. Would you agree to that or say, Kevin, no, that's not right?
No, I agree wholeheartedly.
I just be like thinking a little bit deeper, right? That's I'm just a deep thinker, but
Oh, you are?
yeah, you know that?
I believe you.
Yeah, I'm fizzling out right now. I'm thinking so hard. So what does black women fly to? What does that saying mean for you, Steffanie?
Black women fly too.
Mm-hmm.
That says, for me, that means we can do whatever you can do, whoever you are.
Mm-hmm.
We're just as smart. We are just as capable. We can do, a lot of people think because, that they put us in a box. They put certain people in certain, they restrict what they feel like you can do, that we can do. So that's what it means to me, that we are just as capable of being a drone pilot, of being a manned aircraft pilot. And when we, are there, don't expect for our work to be any less professional than if we were not a black woman. So, and that's, when I show up on to an assignment, I can tell that I don't know if they're like thinking, okay, it's not going to be as good as we thought, this, video or any of that. But I can tell that they're surprised that I'm there. But when I leave, and they see my work, I know that they are surprised that it was just as good as they thought it would have been had I not been a black woman. And so I'm never there to say, well, I'm just here to be in this on this set and not add to it. I always want to consider myself as an asset and not a liability. And so that's how I carry it, as soon as I'm on location at the assignment. I'm an asset that you don't have to baby me. I know what I'm doing, and so I do the job, and that's what you should expect.
Okay. What do you want people to walk away from either one of these events that's happening in September? So whether it's the Sky Hustle networking event or, the free drones and dollars, or even both, what is that you want people to experience?
I want them to experience that there is the support there for them, because as we've said already, a lot of people have a fear of doing things that they're not familiar with.
Right.
And so inside of these events, I want us to know there is support.
Okay.
And there's direction and coaching.
Okay.
And so you're not going to be alone. We're not just offering a course where we say, this is what's on the test and that's the end of it. We want to walk you through it. In fact, the students that I've had in the drone pilot prep course, I've reached out to them after it's over and said, hey, are you, still studying? Do you have any questions? If you want to do your pilot lesson, because I offer a pilot lesson as a part of the course, let's go ahead and get that lesson out of the way, because sometimes we know all the time people learn differently.
Right.
Some people, you can talk to them, you can show them slides. Other people, they need to put their hands on the drone, they need to fly it, and it all clicks for them once they put it all together. So I just want them to know that we're a safe space for them, and that's why we exist, because I want to be the safe space and let them know that I'm here to help you get through this.
What is what about mentorship opportunities? Where does that lie within the ecosystem?
So if we're talking about adults, then that could be, you and I have talked about, where do we go beyond the classes, and then that's how we ended up at the mixers and the workshops, because there is an opportunity for mentorship. If we're talking about youth, like what I'm doing this week is working with a STEM camp.
Okay.
And talking with young people, I think from ages 9 to 13, about the opportunities in to be a drone pilot and the different industries where you can use a drone. And so working with them, walking them through so they can see how to build a drone, the safety, the careers, and then we're going to end up at the end of this week doing like a capstone, get some type of we haven't quite is. Each group is going to come up with what they want to present that they have gotten out of this week. And so mentoring young people to let them know you can do this. This is an opportunity. You don't just have to be, what you can be a nail tech, you can be a doctor, but you also can be a drone pilot if that's what you want to do. And this is what it's going to take. So mentorship is important. Of course, it means different things based on the level of experience for the person. But building a team of a group that can support each other is important. And that's why, and I think you could really speak more to that than I could, because that's your thing, Kevin, is supporting people in, where they are. So what do you foresee that we're going to be doing in the next 6 months as it pertains to building out this Black Dronepreneur ecosystem?
I think for starters, it's one thing to get your pilot license, but it's another thing how you communicate what you do as it relates to the drone industry. It's one thing to market yourself, right? And I think that's where most people fall flat. Even people that have degrees, like they have the degree, but they don't have the, communication skill set to market themselves, whether it's for a company, whether it's for a contract position. And so my thing is, once they get their pilot license, it's my job to come in and help them with the communication skills, how to, do when you're at networking events and somebody asks you what you do, versus saying I'm a drone pilot or I have my drone license. Okay, that's a vague answer, right? It's not enough to stimulate me to say, I need to talk to you. And so my job is to help them understand the language that needs to be utilized no matter where they go. So that's the mentorship that we want to give to people once they finish the course. Because again, you have forwarded me countless emails of people who have their pilot license, right? And they still can't get a gig. And it's probably because of how they're communicating or how they're networking, or even how they're positioning themselves on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah, it is important to build a network
Mm-hmm.
because you can't be everywhere all the time, or you don't know all the opportunities, and be willing to team up with people. And as you've shown me, be willing to promote someone else
Mm-hmm.
so that they can see that they can trust you enough to put you in a position where when it's time for them to promote you, they would be willing to do that.
Right. So you've been getting companies reaching out to you, and one of them being DoorDash, about either working with you or creating some type of partnership, because DoorDash is hiring for drone pilots to deliver food. I know they have opened up the delivery in Little Am, Texas. And so what does that look like? How do what's your communication with these entities that are reaching out to you? And then how do you distribute the information?
Well, they reach out on LinkedIn, and I get messages from, as you said, DoorDash, Drone Genuity is another one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just saying, hey, we see that you are in communication with people who want to be drone pilots,
Right.
or either drone pilots. Can you let them know that we're hiring?
Mm-hmm.
So being a funnel, being a team player, and putting that information out there so people can take advantage of it is something that I do through my email funnels, and just in communication, just letting people know this might be an opportunity for you. So again, just being transparent and letting people hopefully take advantage of the opportunity if they know about it. But after that, you can't, that's up to them to make something out of that opportunity.
So what about the pilots who want to be a part of your team? Do you have a vendor list? And then also, are you hiring for individuals to help run TCB drones?
So we are not hiring W-2 employees. However, we are hiring freelancers.
Okay.
So that when we have contracts, our goal, the ultimate goal, is to get contracts for drone pilot work.
Okay.
And then the people who we know have their certification and that they've worked with us and we know their skill set, we can then place them on jobs.
Okay.
So for example, my company has a contract with the
school, with a ISD school.
That too, but I was going to talk about the one in North Carolina for in case of a hurricane or a natural disaster.
Okay.
They want us to be we're the company contracted to go in after the natural disaster and take aerial pictures and video so they can see what the damage is. And so I've reached out to people in that area. So in case it happens, we don't want it to happen, but in case it does, they're in place to go in and do that.
Okay.
So going back to the school system, we've been contracted. We don't know if we're going to start in the fall of 25 or spring of 26 to teach high school.
You're going to start.
Yes.
Okay.
To teach high school students to be prepared to take the drone pilot prep course. Well, we're going to teach them the drone pilot prep course so they can hopefully pass the Part 107 exam and become drone pilots. And then these days, Kevin, a lot of students are opting to not go to college for various reasons. So that is another reason why the school system is wanting us to work with these students to make sure that when they walk away with a high
have a
school
skill.
diploma, they have a skill
Okay.
that they can walk into and make a good amount of money. And so that's why we're doing this, to give them that skill set. And then if we have contracts, we can put them to work, or they can leave Dallas-Fort Worth and go somewhere across Texas, somewhere across the country, around the world, knowing that that skill that they have can lead them to a good paying, cost of living wage job.
So let's go to women and young girls who are curious about this drone industry, but they're not quite sure that there's space for them. What do you say to that population?
Well, speaking to young girls, I remember being not as sure of myself when I was 12, 13, up until 25 probably. And so, especially working with the kids that I'm working with this week, and you're asking them, what's your name? What do you want to do when you grow up? And they are so, under their voice, they're not confident. And so I would say if they with the right mentorship, of course, they will grow into themselves and grow to realize I do. In fact, there were sisters, they had a t-shirt on and it said, "I am enough." So I knew then their parents were working with them then.
Right.
If you have people in your life who are working with you to let you know you are enough and you are capable and you are smart, all those things, it's going to be, you will come into your own sooner. For young women who are waiting for someone, I would say sometimes you can't wait for someone to give you an opportunity. You have to be confident and know that you belong in that space, even when nobody else tells you that. In fact, this is on my refrigerator and I wanted to bring it. It says, "Well-behaved women seldom make history." So you can't just...
So you saying are you saying that because they're not being a disruptor?
Sometimes, Kevin, the expectation for women or certain people is for us to just be the background to somebody's foreground.
Okay.
That's just not who I've ever been. And it's not to say that I'm loud and because I'm not. I'm really, really to myself. But when it comes time, but I'm not going to just be sitting in the background waiting for you to do your thing while because some people, say, well, why don't you, smile more? Why don't you do this more? Why don't you do that? I'm like, I'm not here for your viewing pleasure. I'm here to do what I came to do. So I would just say to those women, you just can't wait for an invitation. If this is something that you want, you have to go after it. And sometimes that means being a disruptor. Some people are not going to like it, or they're going to look at you like, why are you doing that? Why do you look like that? But don't worry about that, because they might be looking at you in admiration.
Okay. You have some merchandise coming out soon that's going to be on your website. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we are working with someone who's designing some merchandise so that when you go on the website, you can put the different terms on a coffee cup, on a t-shirt, on, whatever you want to purchase. You can purchase it and it will be in support of TCBDrones. So that's coming soon.
Okay. Any last statements you want to make?
Sure. This is all...
I want you to look at that camera right there, because I want them to feel this.
This is all that we're doing. The mixer, the workshop, and the support system, the ecosystem that we're building is all leading up to a regional convention in February 2026 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we want you to be a part of it. So stay tuned and stay abreast of everything by going to TCBDrones.com.
All right. So it's obvious that there's no denying it. Drones are the future. And people like Steffanie Rivers is making sure that our communities don't get left behind in that future. So from FAA certified training to corporate partnerships and a growing network of dronepreneurs, TCB Drones is more than a company. It's a culture shift in motion. So if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, don't miss the Sky Hustle Networking Mixer on Thursday, September the 4th from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. or the Drones and Dollars free workshop on Saturday, September the 6th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And again, you can visit tcbdrones.com to register, learn more, take your first step towards flying into a new lane professionally and financially. And remember, Black women fly too.
Okay.
And so can you. Catch the vision, catch the vision, catch the vision.